Okay, something of a different video from me today. I'm not actually reviewing anything cycling wise, although I am out in the ASOS rain gilet, which is really good. We've had a few spots of rain, and I don't know whether that's going to show it, but it's a very heavy sky out there, so at any second there could be a heavy downpour. And nice church there. And of all things, purely by chance, because of Google Maps, I found out that I live not far from John Bonham's resting place, the drummer out of Led Zeppelin, who, as I learned this morning, drank himself to death in 1980, having consumed something like 1.5 litres of vodka in a day, which is pretty good going. Finished him off. But he only lives, actually, I think it's about, no, he only lives, what am I on about? He's actually only buried 7.5 miles from where I live, and I've been exploring new lanes in this area. It's an area that I've neglected for the past couple of years, really, and you keep riding around the same area and it gets stale, and you need something new to do. And Google Maps just highlighted the fact that this church here behind me was his final resting place, and it's I've got a couple of days off work, and it's a really warm afternoon. It's one of those muggy days where you kind of feel like you're riding in a sauna, but it's pleasant even though there's a breeze. And but yeah, you know, as not that I'm in the habit of frequenting graveyards or visiting people's graves, but it's a really nice spot. And I stood for a few minutes by the graveside back there, and it's obviously a place of pilgrimage for music fans, Led Zeppelin fans, drumming fans and all sorts, because there's all sorts of tokens left around his grave. And I took a few photographs, and I stood there for a minute and took it in. And as resting places go, it'll take some beating. It's quiet, it's out in the country, it's beautiful. I mean, I know it's a early summer day and all the leaves are out and all the blossoms out and it's warm, so obviously that colours my judgment on it. But you know, as resting places go, it's somewhere, I mean, not that I want to die anytime soon, but if this was to be my resting place, I would think it would be a good place to spend eternity. So so yeah, really, I don't really know what else to say about it. I think it's a tragic way to end your life so early. I mean, he was only 32, I'm 46 in July, you know, so I've had almost a third as much again. In fact, I have had more than a third. I've had almost half again of what he had, and I'm still a young man, you know. So to think of what he threw away just because he wanted to drink vast amounts of vodka is it's a real shame, you know. And he'd be in his mid-70s now, and you know, who knows, maybe he would have come back to this area. He was from Redditch, which isn't too far away, but he never got that chance, did he? So but yeah, you know, I think that reading about someone who's died so tragically young, who had so much to look forward to, it kind of makes you reassess your own life, and you realise how lucky you are to be in a position you're in, you know. And I'm always going on about winning the lottery, and I wish I had this, and I wish I had that, and I wish I'd done that, and most of the things I actually wish for are not outside my grasp to do, you know. I mean, of course the lottery's down to pure chance, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this ride today. It's one of those where I feel good, my legs feel good, everything about it, just, it's one of those days, you know. And okay, I've come to visit a grave as part of my route, but I don't know, it's such a nice place, it's such a nice church, it's such a nice area that it doesn't feel morbid, you know. It's more of a celebration of life, you know, maybe not his as such, but perhaps mine, you know, or life in general. But either way, if you're ever in the area, Google the area, look him up, and it'll tell you where it is. And if you come in the summer, it's a very peaceful, reflective place. And if you're ever local, and if you're a cyclist or a music fan or a Led Zeppelin fan or a drumming fan or all of those things put together, it's definitely worth a visit. You know, I'd recommend it. And not just to say you've been there and seen it and took a photo of it, which I've done, but it's a place, it's a really fitting resting place for anyone. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful spot, and I'm just glad that I live close enough to be able to cycle to it, you know. And I think it might become a regular part of my run to cycle up this hill past this church, and I'm glad I've came.